Hey guys, it is Wednesday, March 24th, and you're tuned into Two and a Half Hoopers, Jared Jeffrey's favorite basketball podcast. I'm George here, not George here, but I'm joined
What's
here by George Martin.
up, everybody? We're a little
No,
short-handed tonight.
yeah, no Josh, there's just two Hoopers here. I said it, two Hoopers.
Oh,
But he's
moving up
we
for
got a good
now.
show for you guys today. Recap of last 2 days of ball. Georgia's halftime, as always, a lot of trade deadline themed as it's coming up this Thursday. And ended off, we're going to give our thoughts on the multiple headlines Warriors found themselves in this week. We got Draymond arguing with Tony Allen. We got Steve Kerr arguing with KD, even though Steve Kerr doesn't have a Twitter account. KD forgot to switch his burner, all that good stuff.
AD hasn't been on his burner in a while. I'm just gonna say it's only
he's
his
bold.
personal
He's
account.
bold.
It's only his personal.
Remember, if you like what you hear, make sure to follow our socials, all at THHoopers. Drop a comment anywhere, I'll shout you out for giving support. Tim Koolmeyer and Cole Wakeham commented last post, going back and forth a little bit on that CJ McCollum 32 game. So at least we got some real hoopers following us. Thank God. But appreciate the support, guys. Like we said on YouTube, we're uploading every video now. So we're looking at, you could see George in his dusty hoodie, me in my Baskin Robbins t-shirt.
Go Bruins, baby! Sweet 16. Let's get it.
But yeah, all the boring stuff's out of the way. Let's get to some boring games and then some fun games. So boring games first. Kings beat the Cavs 119-105. Thunder beat the T-Wolves 112-103. Jazz beat the Bulls 120-95. And the Bucks beat the Pacers 140-113 without Giannis.
That's your look ahead, buddy.
That was my look ahead.
We're not even going to talk about it. That's how bad it was.
There was no what was it, Turner or Brogdon?
Turner for sure. I thought Brogdon played, but I know Turner.
It was my look ahead. So let me actually take a look at that real quick. I think it was no Turner or Brogdon. Let's see. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, no Turner or Brogdon. Sabonis had 22, and Karis LeVert struggled again. Justin Holiday 1 for 10. So yeah, my look
I'm gonna
ahead
be the
was
host
not
here.
good.
What'd you take away from this game, if you can squeeze that in?
What I took away was my eyes off the TV when I got an alert that said no Brogdon or Turner or Giannis. I watched a little bit of it, caught a few glimpses because it was my look ahead. That was my homework there. But I was just looking for Karis LeVert to give him something. He's still kind of struggling there.
That's unfortunately a theme of this season. Marquee games getting washed with injuries. It's been pretty unfortunate so far.
It's looking like it's not just Karis LeVert. Then he's come back. They need TJ Warren as well as another shot creator there.
They need all hands on deck.
They need all offensive hands on deck.
And more at this point.
They also can't give up 140 to the Bucks without Giannis. Now, no Miles Turner there. And he's their centerpiece on defense. He's top 3 in defensive player of the year standings, but yeah, not a good look that game. Not a good look ahead. But we did get a fun one. Hornets may have lost Lamelo Ball for the year, but they didn't lose to the Spurs. Final 197. Rozier and Hayward both played inefficient, but led the scoring charge for the Hornets, 27-24 respectively. And the Hornets also won the assist battle, 27-17. Spurs having 17 assists, very odd. But were you impressed that the Hornets beat a very solid team in the Spurs without LaMelo?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess the biggest thing to also take away from this is even in the absence of LaMelo, they still went to Scary Terry in the clutch, which has kind of been a theme all year. And something
they never really went to Melo in the clutch. It's always been Rozier gets the ball in his hand and he makes plays.
Exactly, which I like. He's experienced. He's been battle tested in deep playoff runs. In 2018 it was when Kyrie and Hayward went down. So I mean, it's good to see that they have like a closer late game, and especially with a young guy like LaMelo, you don't want to put him in that role too quickly, even though he was playing at a great level before he went down. But yeah. Basically the same from the Hornets. Spurs, nothing to really take away here. Your all-star snub, DeMar had a good game. But yeah, nothing much to take. That was the biggest thing for me from the Hornets, honestly.
Them going to LeVert, or not to LeVert, to Rozier.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean this was a very Spurs fell behind pretty. They were 10 points down at halftime, and then they kind of crawled back. It's really what we kind of predicted. I mean, Malik Monk went to that 6-man role with Devontae Graham in the starting lineup.
Which is what we expected.
And then Hayward and Rozier stepped up, and then PJ Washington 4 for 14. Not a great shooting game, but you always get good D from him. And played 41 minutes. So
they definitely have a formidable core there, working with Hayward, Rozier, PJ Washington. I mean, they're really just like a key big away. I mean, Zeller's been working for them, but in their future,
no Zeller here. Also, they only played 8 guys.
but he's been their big most of the year. So if they can get a younger, more experienced guy that they can develop with that core, I mean, they'll be looking solid in a few years.
I don't know how many years Zeller has in his contract, but if he does have a few, I guarantee it's not a lot of money. He works for them. I would not think about upgrading the center position. I really don't think they need to.
I meant more for as like trying to find a core piece that you can, develop
Oh
with.
yeah, because when you're trying to win playoff games, you don't know if Zeller can be that guy. He can
And
be the guy
just,
now, but
and it's a relatively young team outside of like Hayward. So I mean, if you get another young guy that can be there post, once Zeller's gone or something, then you have a core of Lamelo, PJ, and insert center.
Yeah. Moving on, we're gonna celebrate a little here. Rockets break their losing streak. Stops at 20 games. They beat the Raps 117-99. They lose some stress from Steven Silas for at least one night, which is all you can hope for.
Kind of got screwed in that situation.
John Wall had an interesting game as he had a triple double, kind of Jason Kidd style, 19, and then bare minimum as far as rebounds and assists, but still triple double. And he also shot 8 for 30, but a win's a win.
Green light.
So did you take more away from the Rockets here or the Raps? Because Rockets made their losing streak, but now this was a big loss for the Raps as far as are they going to be sellers or buyers?
So yeah, obviously the headline is Rockets breaking their streak, but I think there's more worry on the Raptors here because the Rockets, we kind of known, with the injuries they had and the inconsistencies that the writing was already on the wall for them. So you knew they were going to get a win sometime and we'd be overjoyed for them. But for the Raptors, really, I mean, they've just kind of lost that defensive integrity that they've had and just that cohesiveness from those playoff runs they've been on. And yeah, I agree with what you said. I think they're honestly going to be sellers here. They've just had it's been such a tough season for them, having to play all their games in Tampa, getting COVID issue twice. I believe they had one earlier in the season and then right before All-Star break. And I just feel like even before that, they've had so many struggles and maybe they just don't see the long-term vision, with guys aging and them needing to pay people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think guys like Lowry, who is expiring and he's older, they might want to get assets for and let him go where he wants to since he's getting older. A guy like Norman Powell, who's going to be a free agent and going to command a lot more money than he's currently getting paid. And then you can build around the guys like Malachi Flynn, Bobby Boucher, more minutes for OG. And then
the young guys you might get from a Lowry trade as far as
more
Tyler Hero or less known Precious Achua, who's also very, very good at that center position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Nurse is a guy who he can coach talent. So even if, you get these younger guys, you're still going to be able to compete, in the East.
In the East, yeah. Especially you see what the Thunder are doing. They win games. The Thunder literally can't tank. It's embarrassing almost. They win a certain amount of games. They just can't tank. Even with firing Billy Donovan, they get a new coach in here. Shea drops 35 every game.
Look, rebuilding in the East is way easier. Look at Charlotte. You get one guy, boom. I mean, I know they also brought in Hayward, but a signing, a good drafty, and boom, you're a formidable playoff team.
Yeah. So I think we're on the same page here, but I do want to just make it clear. So you're all in on the Raptors kind of throwing away this season and getting trading their veteran guys because they are only 2.5 games out of the 10 spot. And we said, that's a week in the East. That's a week.
I know, but
they have lost 9 in a row though. They're 17-17, 500 ball, 17-26 now. So writing's on the wall, like you said.
They're just not trending well. And at this point with Lowry, it's, you might as well get assets because he might want to leave. I know he's very loyal to them, but I think he wants one more run and he's from Philly. He played his college ball there. So he could be linked to that. And at this point, I mean, are you going to keep him until he rides into the sunset? I don't know if that's necessarily smart for winning's sake. And we've seen Masai. He makes anyone expendable in terms of.
He does not have a heart.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's best for them to go that route.
Well, as soon as it came out, I don't know if it was a previous statement or if Lowry recently said it. He said if he gets traded, he's just going to come back and retire a Raptor. So, I mean, all is well that ends well. Because I think he's the best Raptor of all time, unless you want to throw Kawhi there. So, I mean, as long as he comes back for a year, they're in the NFL, a one-day contract to retire a Raptor, I think it's up. And plus, you're going to send it to either Miami or Philly. And, I mean, Philly's a contender. Like you said, he was from there, always repping the Eagles. And then Miami, I mean, go play with Jimmy Butler. I mean, he wouldn't be upset about being traded. So I think we're on the same page there. Grizzlies beat the Celtics as Tatum and Kemba took the day off. 132-125. This one went to OT, and the Grizz seemed to step up just be a step ahead the whole time. Ja had 29 and 9. What did you see from this one? Kind of a quickie here, but it did go to OT, but no Tatum or Kemba, so not a whole lot of stock here.
Yeah, I mean, Celtics were, without two of your better guards, I mean, you can't really blame them on losing this game. Memphis is a pretty decent team, so I don't think, you said before the pod, Ainge might hit the panic button next game. I don't think this is the one you hit it on. And yeah, if anything that we've seen in this game that went bad for the Celtics, we've seen the whole year in terms of just where their inconsistencies and flaws are. So there's not much to dwell on this game, especially without Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I saw some positives here for Boston. I mean, Jeff Teague, who I've been kind of hard on just because, well, hard on, who I've kind of, thought about being like, he's not going to be their backup one guard. 26 points, 10 for 12. Very, very solid game here. And then Marcus Smart, who for some reason on the trade block, he had the game tying assist to Daniel Theis. He's just their beating heart. I don't know why they're thinking about trading him.
We'll get to that.
I mean, they got a lot of contributions here to be in this game without Tatum.
Yeah,
we know we're a Kemba hating podcast, but also your point guard. I mean,
mm-hmm.
It feels like the pieces are there. Like they're just missing like a Drummond or something. So I hope they don't hit the panic button. We'll talk about that during a halftime segment of with all these trade rumors.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as this game goes, I feel like it was a pretty solid game for Boston. I mean, they held Valanciunas to 16 points, 19 boards. So not really holding him there, but that's where they struggle all season. So final game of the night and probably the best game. Clippers got a great win as they came back from down 22 and beat the Hawks 119-110. Both teams relatively healthy, which is why we got such a good game, I would assume. Kawhi and Trae led the teams in scoring. What'd you see here? Pretty good game here.
Saw a pretty interesting move. So like midway through the third, they were getting pretty beat, like handedly. It was 22, whatever the largest lead was. Ty Lue pulls all of the starters. And I actually liked that because it's more of like a wild, like a last chance throw in. Cause the whole bench and reserves come in and the Hawks are like, what? And it threw them off. And then, they come roaring back and score 37 in the fourth, hold the Hawks to 20, and a very, very good sign as well. Luke Kennard, I believe, didn't miss a shot here.
Your guy, Luke Kennard.
Not my guy.
Did not miss a shot. 8 for 8, 4 for 4 from 3.
Yeah, and they really need to get whatever they can out of him. They gave him 16 mil just to collect dust and DNPs. So I know his defense is a little bit shaky, but I mean, he can definitely be another option for them when their offense gets stagnant late game. He doesn't really put much pressure on the rim, but just another guy that can create is something you kind of need. He can play the point a bit if you ask him to, but he's not like the veterans like the George Hills and the D Roses that we've said they've needed to have. But it's a good sign nonetheless. It could spark something too in the future because they've been struggling. So we'll see. But good win for the Clips overall, giving them praise for once.
Yeah, you hit everything I want to hit on. So I'll say this. You're mentioning the largest lead. Led 88-66 late in the third.
So yeah,
and then from that, the Clips finished it off with a 53-22 run. So that's what the Clippers are capable of. That's why they are contenders no matter what happens. It just those little things about needing a point guard and stuff is just take them over the hump. But yeah, good game from the Clippers there.
Yep.
Moving on to Tuesday, March 23rd, Nuggets beat the Magic 110-99. Nick schmacked the Wizards due to a great Julius Randle game. Lakers fall the Pelicans 128-111, now 0-2 since LeBron injury. Sixers beat the Warriors 108-98. I know Steph, no Embiid kind of cancels out, but not really because the Sixers have only lost one game without him, and it was an overtime game to the Bucks.
MVP, they said. No, I'm kidding.
MVP supporting cast. But only 2 real games to focus on here. I believe the Suns Heat was your look ahead, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the Suns beat the Heat 110-100 in a game that wasn't as close as the score would suggest. Booker had 23 in small minutes because the blowout, and CP had 9 assists. Let's take this one. It's your look ahead.
So yeah, I mean, I looked at more of 2 very good defenses, which it was a sort of lower scoring game. I mean, 110 isn't a crazy output, but it's for this standards and this era, it's a bit lower. But just overall, the Suns are a really, really completely built for the playoffs type of team. They check kind of all those boxes you want in a playoff team, and just looking down their roster, they have a all switchable, closing time rotation. And then just another guy that they acquired from a trade, Torrey Craig, who's 3-and-D. He's a late time guy that you want closing down the stretch. He had 10 points in this, and they got him for free from the Bucks, which was
cash considerations.
Confusing move to me. But yeah, Crowder and Bridges are incredible wing defenders. Chris Paul is, he gets it done in the playoffs too. Besides that wacky game 7 last year, we won't talk about that. D-Book is a, all around shooting guy, all around scoring guard. Ayton is a monster defensively too. I mean, they look legit. They look like a contender in the West for sure.
Yeah, I mean, are they the one middle team? Like, because there's the LA teams in the West, and then there's the second tier of like Nuggets, Jazz, Blazers. Are they in between those two teams, or do you put them specifically in a tier there?
I might put them right behind the LA teams, honestly.
That's where I kind of have them. I mean,
and
they're looking good.
This might be a hot take, but I would have them ahead of the Jazz, honestly. Like I said,
me too.
They just check the boxes of what you want in a playoff team. So,
and it's not against Rudy Gobert for once. It's not. It's all about CP. Chris Paul. I mean, he's honestly making an MVP case right now just because of how good he's been, and then also just like they play defense, and like good Phoenix teams are only known for their offense. The Barkley teams, the Nash teams, but like they lock down, and they made a team that had a healthy Jimmy Butler look helpless.
I mean, Jimmy only had 14 points? Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess we'll go to the Heat here to finish it off. Was this Tyler Hero's last game as a member of the Miami Heat?
I feel like they kind of pushed him into a too big of a role early because he was incredible in the playoffs, right? But that could have just been, one series, it was also the bubble. I'm not going to be like, fraudulent performances, but I just feel like they put too much pressure on him coming into this season. And I just feel like for a second-year guy, and I know if you're legit, you're going to want more minutes, but I feel like he's just been used too incorrectly. I don't know. He's just been completely struggling. If there's a deal out there, I think he's in it. I mean, you have the pieces to contend now. If you're going to hold back just him, which they could have already done for Harden, I don't know.
I refuse to believe, because then I won't be able to sleep at night, that the one reason they don't have James Harden is because of Tyler Hero. Like I know that was a report, like if my memory serves me correct, that there was a deal sort of in place with all those picks, and then they're like, we can't give up Tyler Hero. But we're not going to dwell on that. No way. But yeah, last game of the night and last game of the recap, best game of the night. Nets beat the Blazers 116-112. No Kyrie and no KD, but no problem as Harden had 25 and 17, and Uncle JG had a crisp 20. Ooh. Cantor had 19-19 for the Blazers, but no dice. What'd you see from this one, George? Wrap us up.
Brooklyn's crunch time defense holding the Dame time.
It's a theme. It's a theme every podcast.
21 points from Portland, which in the fourth is insane because Dame usually puts up alone 20 points in the fourth. They have the theme because it's D'Antoni's on the coaching staff. They switch everything, which D'Antoni has done, and he did it in Houston and he's doing it again now. So that just disrupted Portland. But something else I've taken away, they have a stud in Nick Claxton. He switched out onto Dame with like 40 seconds left, shut his water off.
They traded Jared Allen. They were like, we got another one. I'm like, what? It's Playboy Cardi. He's just sitting there. I'm like, he didn't get a single minute. And then they're like, we need you. And sorry to cut you off, but I just want to put this out there. Like, they don't need Drummond. They don't. Like, I honestly, like, they need to give these minutes to Nick Claxton because he's a better switch. He's way more switchable on their defense. And two,
exactly.
Drummond has not contributed to winning basketball ever.
He hasn't.
Like, they need to keep these young guys, like, breed Nick Claxton to be when like they finally can't keep DeAndre Jordan because he's just not good enough anymore. Like, keep giving Nick Claxton these minutes. They don't need Drummond. They really don't.
22 minutes from Claxton. That's literally all you can ask. Drummond's going to get you 4 more rebounds, but at that point, you might. And then,
like you said, the defense. If they're going to switch everything, you can't sign Drummond. You can't. If you're going to switch everything, the Blake Griffin signing gets even better. But you cannot get
Drummond on the perimeter equals instant shot.
We
Open
would have
shot.
seen Dame time if they had Drummond this game.
Oh yeah.
They would not win this game if they had Drummond.
So yeah, it's just, I mean, if they sustain this level of defense, it's scary hours. Scary hours.
It really is. Happy birthday, Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, technically not anymore, but yes. Belated.
Oh, well, it is halftime. I forgot to give you the intro to halftime now. That's the recap. It's halftime time. Even though he's working his way up the ranks here at the 2.5 Hoopers factory, he's still the half hooper. Halftime for 2 reasons after the show. George the half hooper. Phil's on all this trade mayhem.
Alrighty, everybody. It is our favorite NBA drama time of the year, trade deadline season. So first and foremost,
emoji season.
Our favorite GM, Danny Ainge, supposedly has made an offer. Marcus Smart, 2 firsts to the Magic for Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier. This was reported by The Athletic. You know, that's basically who Shams works for, so it's pretty credible. What I just want to ask you is this really going to be the move where Danny Ainge finally unloads assets for a guy named Aaron Gordon, but he didn't do it for the X amount of superstars that they've had on the table? And is this a wink, wink, smart move?
So I know I'm the Danny Ainge hater, and I wanted to give him credit because I was like, he's going to make a move this deadline. But this is the worst one. Why are you have Jaylen Brown and you have Jason Tatum as your 3 and 4, as your 2 and 3, whatever. The wings are set. And yet you're going to move Marcus Smart, who's your best defender, and 2 picks finally. Wouldn't trade 2 picks for Jimmy Butler. Wouldn't trade 2 picks for James Harden. Wouldn't trade 2 picks for anyone. And you're going to do it for Aaron Gordon, who's very injury prone, very streaky shooter, and he's not the big man they need. It's ridiculous. You can't make this up. The one time he's going to make a move, it's because he got bullied into it by social media. And because, they don't fit. They don't fit at all. That's where I stand.
There's really no point of him doing that. What are you going to have him at the 5? That's just another undersized 5, which you're just going to get blitzed and burned in the East.
I'm still Team Theis at 5 over Aaron Gordon.
At the 5, yeah, because I think that's not Aaron Gordon's position. When he's playing next to Vooch, that's his best thing, a legitimate, big 5. If you play against God forbid you play the Sixers.
Oh, no.
Embiid is putting up 30 and 10 every single game. I just honestly, I'd love to see this happen because we finally would get Ainge to move picks for a guy who wasn't worth moving picks. And probably literally their best defender holds up the core of that defense, Marcus Smart. He went out for
They can't trade Marcus Smart.
He went out for weeks and that defense suffered. He comes back, boom, he's back. He guards the other team's best player. He's the do-it-all guy on defense. That guy you cannot trade. You can give up picks. You can't trade him though for whatever you do.
I just feel like he's overthinking it because their best moves are made. They're smaller moves. They're Drummond on the buyout market, or they will get a center like JaVale McGee or something. Very Cavs themed, but just get a big man because you're so set as far as perimeter scoring. Aaron Gordon's no scrub. I don't hate Aaron Gordon. I hate his fit on the Celtics. That's what I hate. And just the fact that the first time he's going to move picks is going to be for Aaron Gordon. It's a panic move, and I just don't think they need to panic yet. Use
the picks on a better, bench rotation because their bench hasn't even been that good.
But he doesn't know how to draft. That
too. Anyways, we're not going to get into our Ainge rant hate here because we could be recording for 2 hours. So next up here, which we've discussed today, we've discussed on past pods. So I'm not going to, dwell on it too much, but the Raptors are increasingly discussing more Kyle Lowry trades also as well. Norman Powell. Their talks are expected to continue into Wednesday and even Thursday. Philly and Miami are the 2 biggest teams interested in Lowry. So I know we've covered Lowry's move to either team, but for Norman Powell, do you have any destinations you could see him going to and what Miami would want back in return?
The Raps in return?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. Thankfully you covered us on Lowry, but we've talked enough about Lowry. Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about Norman here.
For Norm, he's kind of a acquired taste just because, you would feel like a team trading for him because he is an expiring deal would be a contender.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the contenders are kind of set on scoring wise. Only one that really kind of sticks out to me is Denver, just because they got Will Barton back and he's been very solid for them. But they're still trying to replace that Gary Harris void, and I think he could really slide in there.
That's interesting. I didn't think of them.
Other than that, Spurs can maybe use him just for more dynamic scoring, but I think they might be sellers at the trade deadline.
They have enough guards, man. Please don't put Norm there with like Lonnie Walker and DeJounte Murray.
And then, really, besides that, I mean, there's not a whole lot of space for him. Maybe Dallas, they want to get their wing rotation a little bit more in depth because I know Josh hates Darian Finney-Smith. But like, I don't think there's a lot of teams that like, unless they're, doing it like where they're trying to, get him in the culture, then resign him because he is a good player. But besides that, I just don't see a real spot he really fits into as far as what they're looking for. I think Lowry's the much more tradable piece.
Yeah. So
there's obvious suitors.
From what I've been, looking at the past few days while I was doing getting the segment ready. So Philly's just invested in a lot of like other combo guards. What I've seen. I've heard the Warriors too, and I know they've been linked to other guys who can.
I was looking at him, yeah.
But Norman isn't a guy you want to like be leading an offense in terms of like the guard, like the point guard. But in terms of more scoring for the Warriors, it's perfect. But for what assets they have, I don't think they want to go get Norm, because if you're going to give up a pick, it's probably going to have to be the mini one, and that's not what they want to do for him, especially.
Yeah.
So
they probably still have their first rounder, though, the actual Warriors one. But I don't even know if they want to trade that one. Like,
no, if
they're getting Clay back.
If they have those two, yeah, and they should go for like a Beal if they got those two picks, and you can throw, whoever else at them.
Well, that'd be fun.
So smaller Woj bomb yesterday. Clippers traded Mifondu Kabengele. I definitely butchered that. I am sorry. A future second.
He's fan of the show.
And the almighty cash considerations to the Sacramento Queens just for a second round pick back. But the biggest thing here, they cleared space 2.6 under the hard cap, and also got an extra roster spot, which is important because Clippers were active in the buyout and trade market last season, and we're expecting them to do the same this year as they are finally trying to push to get to the Western Conference Finals. So where do you expect them to improve in trade, buyout, whatever?
When this happened, I was like, who? And were you being ironic about liking him as a big man for them, or is he actually pretty like? Did you actually kind of?
I just because I texted it to the group chat with Jake. I'm like, and he's talked about him before. He kind of liked him. I'm like, oh, that guy was kind of cool, but I didn't know much about him. But yeah, and then I said, oh, they freed up cap and space for another guy.
Because yeah, in that sense, like you said, they were a big play. Marcus Morris was probably him and his brother were probably the best moves of the trade deadline. So no, they traded for Marcus Morris. But
they traded the first of the Knicks, yeah.
Yeah. But as far as that, I mean, great move there. 2 spots is a lot, because I mean, what if Andre Drummond goes to you and like, please let me sign with you? Like, you're not gonna tell him no, just because that takes away like from him signing with an actual other contender. So I mean, it's just those spots are very valuable. 2.6 million, money moves.
That basically just gets you enough money to sign people on minimums.
Yeah.
So that's
very small move, but I mean, hey, good for him.
Chestnut checkers, as we call it. So last topic here in this lengthy trade deadline one. I'm sure we'll have even more Thursday after the
Thursday show is going to be trade deadline themed. Y'all get tuned in that one.
Yeah. So we basically have news from the Rockets, because I guess they're going to sell on Depot, even though they just got him. There's strong confidence they're going to make a move by Thursday from Woj. So they're increasingly comfortable with the offers on the marketplace for Oladipo, which include young players and first-round pick combinations that the franchise believes are suitable returns. Basically, my thinking here is this really real, or is this a smokescreen? Because I feel like if they had those offers, young player, and a first,
he'd be gone.
I think, yeah, they take that for Depot. So do you think they actually have it? And if they do, from who? Or like I said, classic smokescreen from the Rockets front office?
I feel like it might kind of be a smokescreen, just because the one team he's been linked to is the Heat, and they're preoccupied, one, with Lowry, and 2, Lowry's better than Oladipo. They're not giving up hero for him either. So I mean, is it Duncan Robinson the first or Victor Oladipo? I don't even know who wins that trade. It seems like a trade doesn't need to happen.
They have the cap, and they've been connected to Depot from even before he got moved to Houston.
So Depot might be, if he does go to the Heat, it'd be a last minute thing, which I don't think it'd be for the price they're describing, but it'd be like Lowry gets traded to the Sixers because they have a better offer
And then
for
it's
us
like
for the deadline, and Pat Riley's dialing his phone like
oh shit, we gotta
like
make a move.
terrified. Oh no, we got to
Yeah.
call up not Daryl Morey, the new Rockets GM, and get Victor Oladipo because we got to do something to shake this up.
Yeah, no,
and then also Dallas. He's been linked there. I don't know what kind of deal they would get there. I don't know what kind of young players they're offering. Maybe Brunson. But I believe him getting moved, yes. But the first round picks and young player combinations for half a year of a hobbled Victor Oladipo, not buying it.
he would
Good call on the
be on
smoke
this
screen there.
team by now. I agree with you. I
Yeah.
have no idea where he's gonna move. I don't think they have much leverage. I think this is their attempt at getting more leverage. I don't think they have any at all. I don't think really any
they win a
team
game and they start feeling crazy.
I don't think any team's gonna bite unless, like you said, Lowry goes to the Sixers and the Heat are like, well, dunk it in a first. There you go. Off.
Yeah.
And
who wins that trade? Honestly.
I think Depot in a winning sense, he fits perfectly the Heat culture. If he's not washed, if he's been in his last 8 games, he's been like 25, 5-5 on like, good shooting splits. I'd probably say Miami, if they can especially get him extended, that would probably be a win for them. It's definitely the extension.
You like the Oladipo Jimmy Butler combo right there?
Especially with if they keep like a Nunn, Depot, Jimmy, and then Bam. I wish they still had one of Derrick Jones Jr. or Jay Crowder at the 4. That would be the perfect lineup for them. But yeah,
that'd be nice. Yeah.
So that's it for this. We're definitely gonna have more Thursday. I hope we get a Shams bump like tomorrow. I want to wake up to one. But yeah, that's all for now. So we're gonna move into more drama because how much more drama can the NBA have?
It's Warriors theme, but of course, thank you, George, for the halftime. It's just awesome having you here. I'm about to tear up. But first off, so both these are Warriors themed. And it's just more news. I'm kind of taking a page out of George's book. It's almost like a halftime, but I wanted to cover this myself because I find it kind of fun. First one's not as juicy as the second. But Steve Kerr dropped a quote in an interview that boiled down to him essentially saying he enjoyed coaching the 15 and 50 Warriors team last year more than coaching the Warriors and KD's last year, the year they were playing for a three-peat and made the finals. So KD then responded on Twitter saying that he thought it was hilarious because he doesn't know how to switch his burner account anymore. So good for KD. Just get KD bold now, like we said in the intro. But can you make sense of this for me? Because I'm kind of having trouble wrapping around my head.
So yeah, I was able to actually listen to the pregame presser like all the coaches have, and someone asked, and Steve Kerr actually cleared it up, and I kind of side with him here, honestly. I don't know what you think, but he said that was just taken out of context, and that what he actually meant was there was just immense pressure on that run, trying to three-peat, being the first one to do it since Shaq and Kobe. And then, KD goes down, Clay goes down, and then Boogie is hurt all of the playoffs. And you got Alfonso McKinney and Quinn Cook playing closing minutes in the finals. I mean, that's horrible. You're watching them go against the finals MVP in Kawhi. So what he meant was just, there was a lot less pressure. He was a lot more relieved. It was easier. It was more calm. He didn't say it was more enjoyable because you're barely winning games out there. And he said, nobody likes losing games like that. It was just it was nicer to see the young guys develop what they could do and just stuff like that. It was a lot less pressure on him. So it definitely wasn't more enjoyable. Nobody likes losing like that, especially a guy like Steve Kerr who played with Michael Jordan, So definitely just a lot less pressure relieved in that season.
When you put it that way and you did your homework, watch the whole presser, it does make sense. I mean, as far as the pressure standpoint, and like you said, I guess he was like upset, I guess, at for them twisting his words, or did he just misword it himself at first?
No, it was because it was on a pod. I didn't see the pod. I didn't listen to it. I'm sure nobody else did too. And then they see this cryptic quote and it's like, oh, he hates KD. So,
and then there also is always that you had the Draymond blow up in their last year together. So I mean, it definitely was stressful, and then it just added the fire of like, oh, Steve Kerr doesn't like him either. Well, we'll run with this. So thanks for breaking that down for us. But the one I kind of want to focus on a little more because there's some Twitter fingers going on here. Draymond and Tony Allen have been beefing on Twitter. I'll read it to you guys out here. So it all started on the Dubs Talk podcast. Draymond either joined, called in, did something, but we got from the Dubs Talk podcast. Draymond quote, I think I'm the best defender to ever play this game, end quote. Pretty simple. And then Tony Allen on Twitter responded to that saying, big cap emoji, who stamped you, who you clamp, in the words of Jay-Z, we don't believe you, you need more people. So pretty good response there from the grandfather, first team all defense, because he does have respect in the NBA. Kobe dubbed him the hardest defenders I ever played against. So, I mean, that's where he's kind of coming from as far as who stamped you, because Kobe Bryant stamped him. And then Draymond, in true Draymond fashion, clapback pretty solid too. I was waiting for you to stamp me, big homie, but your stamp book started to run low in 2015 when we used you against your team on our way to our first championship. And Draymond making a lot of sense here, but is bringing offense into a defensive argument. Because as you know, in 2015, when they played the Grizzlies, they just said, let Tony Allen shoot. And they played 4v5 on defense and it worked swimmingly. But I want to get from you, who do you think won this argument as far as that?
I just want to say it's funny that Draymond uses that because, I mean, nobody guards him when he's standing at the 3-point line this year. Tony Allen actually had another rebuttal. He said, that's you this year, #call Clay. So I thought that was that was hilarious.
Whoever gets the last word is always the winner.
And that was it. Draymond never said anything else. So it's fun to see, NBA players past, present beef. I'm not really going to be like, oh, there was a certain winner, because I liked both of the tweets they both had, but I just think it's funny where Draymond's coming from. First off, you're bringing up offense and a defense one. The same thing happens to you now. And then, there's nothing wrong with him saying he thinks he's the best defender because he's one of the best ever, and there's nothing wrong with having that confidence. And like you said, KD and Kobe both stamped Tony Allen. And I think when you say that, you're up there in the, on the grand scheme of defenders of all time. So
do you think what do you put more weight into as far as like just any debate really? Because Tony Allen specifically said he got stamped because he has those stamps, but Draymond won a defensive player of the year. So
I know.
I mean, in that sense, it's like, well, the league stamped him. But so what do you put more weight into as far as like, because that's a pretty broad term as far as like just any debate, like, because they're always like, oh, Kobe top 3, and everyone's like, he's like top 7 or so, but like every player is like Kobe top 3. So like where do you put more weight into, the players stamping them or actual accolades in the media?
I'm always more of like a players person, and just Kobe and KD are two of the greatest scorers ever, and arguably either of them could be the greatest. And when they say Tony Allen gave me the most fits on defense, my hardest matchup ever, I take more weight into that than for Depoy, those media voters who might get Rudy Gobert his third, which would be more than Tim Duncan, one less than, Ben Wallace. There you go. I couldn't think of him. So I go with the player more, and I actually got into some Twitter debates with that. I just said, like, Kobe and KD said it. Like, none of us have a better opinion than those two, which, I mean, I don't know. It's, everything's opinion based on there. So I go with the player side more.
Yeah, I kind of lean towards player side too as well. But like you said, I have no problem with Draymond having that confidence. Exactly. And I feel like Tony Allen kind of out of pocket attacking him like that, because like I think half the players that have ever like made second team all defense, like, I'm the best of all time. I think Pat Bev wanted to word with him too, and I was like, as long as there's no like actual beef here, like Pat Bev can think he's the best. Like, you should think you're the best when you hang your hat on the defensive end.
Yeah, and
Draymond also is probably top 3 defensive IQ all time. Like, he's nice with that.
He's one of the most versatile defenders ever, especially with his size. He can guard 1 through 5, switch everything. I mean, those series against Portland, I think it was like 2017, 2018. I mean, he was like shutting everybody's water off. Like he is probably top 10. He is one of the best ever. So we're not saying one's a scrub and one isn't. They're both put on a pedestal of greatest defenders ever.
I got to do it though. Like, who's a better defender?
I mean, like, am I saying get me a stop 1-on-1?
I'm saying who's a better defender.
It's different.
I'm saying who's a better defender.
Perimeter is Tony Allen. All around, like, defensive acre, I'm taking Draymond. So,
who's a better defender? This is the last time I'm asking you. So if you want to keep copping out, you can keep copping out.
I'm gonna cop out. I'm not gonna say.
You're gonna cop out. All right. Look ahead time. You remember it? You remember to look ahead?
Yeah, I actually did. Thank you for reminding me.
Look ahead. Thank God. All right. I'll start then. Celtics Bucks. Wednesday. I think this is the day before the trade deadline. I think Bucks are gonna blow them out, even if Giannis isn't playing. And I'm excited for this just because they're going to both the Celtics, and this is when Danny Ainge going to pull the trigger. He's going to look at his board, his big board of players he's going to trade for. He's going to go, I'm going to get all of them. He's going to retool the whole roster for no reason. So that's why I kind of like that. Or maybe Tatum comes back, they beat the Bucks, and maybe Danny's like, hey, let's take a step back. Let's evaluate what we got. We just beat the Bucks. They had Giannis. So I maybe not for the game, but the repercussions that'll come from this game as far as Celtics standpoint. Also seeing PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday just get more minutes under their belt for the Bucks. You're looking at it, sir.
So mine, battle of Brooklyn isn't the top seed, but battle of two of the top seeds in the league overall, Nets Jazz. Now we're not going to have KD nor Kyrie, but I mean, Harden has still won games against top teams just by himself. He's an MVP candidate for sure. Just want to see how the Jazz shoot and defend him. And hopefully Harden puts Gobert in the torture cell on drop coverage. I want to see them do pick and roll. Hopefully they attack. If Gobert's getting tantalized, I'm going to have a field day. So yeah, that's what I want to see from that game.
I think this is actually a Gobert game. I think we're going to see it because if the Nets win this one again with DeAndre Jordan and Nick Claxton, it really does mean that I'm not just talking out of the side of my mouth, just saying, the blueprint's out there for Rudy Gobert. But like,
it's legit if this happens.
If they win with DeAndre Jordan, Nick Claxton, no KD, no Kyrie, Tyler Johnson, another 20 bomb. I mean, this Jazz team is the 15-16 Atlanta Hawks. But bold statement there. But that's it for this podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for listening or watching. Remember, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at THHoopers. All that fun stuff. And you'll get a response because George never collect without his phone.
Yes, sir.
Besides that, though, thanks for being an OG, and take care, guys. Peace.